Kim Crowder with Kim Crowder Consulting is here with us answering your questions. All right, so first and foremost, if we need to keep a record of what we do well, how do we do that? What's the best way to do that?
The best way to do that is keep your own notes. Whether you do that on computer, whether you're writing that down, I would say, do that online in some way so that you can copy and paste that, but start building that as soon as something happens. And also don't downplay the things that you've done, right? Really play those up. And don't be afraid to think, this is, if you think, oh, this is only small, don't think that way. Think about the impact of that and the ripple effect. So if you can take a step back and think about it as if someone else did it, how would you talk about that? And then use that language for the way that you take notes.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely easier to think of somebody else and how you would encourage them to use that. All right, when is it time to walk?
Yeah, that's a really strong question. Here's what I feel like. It is time to walk. Let's say you go in and you ask for this and you are confident that you've done all that you can do within an organization. Also, if you've talked to HR and your leadership and said, hey, here's what I'm going to want. Here's the type of position I'm going to want. Here's the type of pay I want. And you all have laid out a plan. And in doing that plan, you're still not getting what you want. Then I say, take a look, see what's out there. And I know that can take quite a bit of time. But here's what I want to say. Remember, you're investing in your future. So if you want to plan that a year in advance, 2 years in advance, your leave, think about doing that. Or take a look around and see if there's maybe another manager or department where you think you could have more value in that department and that they would see you as more valuable. So all of those are options and ways that you can start to think about what's best for you next.
Okay, we have a bunch of text questions. All of them are kind of pertaining to each person's, of course, career. This one says, I'm in healthcare and really feel we need to be paid more. What is the best way to ask?
Yeah, healthcare right now is under a lot of pressure. If we're just really honest, there's a lot going on in healthcare right now, considering now might be a really great time to ask because organizations know they need you. And so the best way is what I'm offering is not any different based on industry, but it may be in how you ask. So take a look and make sure you understand sort of that chain in command and who makes that final decision. Also, here's what I always say, as you are laying out your value, going to the person who's going to make the decision, you can say, hey, here's what I found based on what I did. What are your thoughts about that? You can start to test their response to you around the ways that you've impacted an organization to see if they're open to that conversation. And then based on that, decide whether or not, when the best time is to make that ask. And again, if you don't feel like you can get it there and you know that you are doing everything you can, think about that next place and always go up on salary in that next place.
Okay, this person is saying, I'd like to ask my boss for a 10-cent per mile increase in my mileage. How do I go about that?
Yeah, typically mileage, as I understand it, is typically delineated by the law. So how much you can get based on mileage is typically decided. There's a percentage rate around that. So I'm not necessarily sure that they can do that. But you may ask for that comp in salary, right? So turn that into, hey, how can we add that into my salary at baseline, especially if you're doing a tremendous amount of driving for the company.
Mm-hmm. This person says they've been an employee at the same company for 8 years and haven't had a raise in 8 years. How can I ask for a much needed raise?
Yeah, this is the one where I'm going to say, really question yourself as to why you feel like you want to raise at that company if you haven't gotten it for 8 years. So question that. What, are you really in love with the workplace? Are you really in love with what you do there? What does that look like? And then decide if you need to stay there. 8 years is a long time not to be given, especially considering inflation rates, to not be giving a raise. But you can also ask the question of your organization, hey, are we thinking about doing a pay equity assessment, a pay equity study within the organization to look at pay, a compensation study. There's different ways to put that, and ask them whether or not they're going to do that. But if not, after 8 years, my best advice in my mind would be to move on and find that raise somewhere else.
Okay, we just have about 45 seconds. Is there a best time or date or day of the week to ask for a raise?
Not necessarily. I think you just have to know the rhythm of the person that you are talking to. What's their mood? What's their mood throughout the day? What's the best time of year to ask them what kind of projects are going on in the workplace, and, where they can pay attention to your ask. And so you'll really have to look at that in your workplace to decide what that looks like.
Yeah, timing is everything for sure. Thank you, Kim, so much for answering our questions. We so appreciate that and encouraging us to look at what we do on a daily basis and how we add value to our companies. If you missed any of this, you can take a look in the Two Wants to Know section.